Assalamu alaikum. So let's start. Okay. So today we'll be discussing about the ideal characteristics of the radiopharmaceuticals. Okay. Ideal characteristics means what are the good characteristics required or good characteristics that should have in a radiopharmaceutical. Okay. So you can say like this, the ideal characteristics can be, it should be easily available. Okay. Second one is it should have a short and effective half-life. It should emit particles. There should be particle emission. And next is your high target to non-target ratio. Now one by one we will discuss what is this easy availability or short effective half-life, particle emission or high target to non-target ratio. Okay. 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 So now first point, let's discuss this first point. Easy availability. Okay. So how the radiopharmaceutical will be easily available? Okay. When it is easy to produce. You can prepare when you can prepare the radiopharmaceutical with minimum number of steps and the production is easy and simple, then it can be easily available. Inexpensive. If it is very expensive, it will not be available to all. Only those who are rich they can afford for this. So also second point is it should be cheap. Also third one is it should be readily available in any nuclear medicine facility. Okay, what are the things you require? Easy to produce, cheap, it should not be very expensive, and it should be readily available in any nuclear medicine facility. Okay, if the method of production is complicated, then what will happen? The cost will also increase. Okay, if the method of production of the radionuclide is complicated or labeled compounds, okay, method of production of the radionuclides or the labeled compounds is complicated, then the cost of the radiopharmaceutical will increase. Clear? This point is clear? Next is your short effective half-life. So the question now comes, what is half-life? What do you mean by half-life? What do you mean by half-life? What is half-life? You have studied about plasma half-life? Yes, T-half. What is this? What is this T-half? Yes, correct. What do you mean by half-life? Okay. Yes. Correct. Okay, it is the time to, yes, it is the time required to reduce the activity, yes, to half. Okay, so there are two half-life. In case of this, there are two half-lives. One is your physical half-life, another one is your biological half-life. Okay, how many half-life? Two half-life. One is your physical half-life, another one is your biological half-life. Together, they are called as your effective half-life. So what is this half-life? You see, physical half-life means is the time required to reduce its initial activity to one half. Okay. So what is physical half-life? Physical half-life means how much time is required for that the physical activity will be reduced to one half. And this half-life, it is unique for a given radionuclide. Okay, so all the radionuclide have different half-lives. So this is the time in which, suppose for example, the initial activity is 100 curie. Okay, so after 10 days, after 10 days, after 10 days, the activity is now 50 curie. So what is the half-life here? The initial half-life was 100 curie. After 10 days, the activity is now 50 curie. So what is the physical half-life here? You understood my question? You got my question? At the beginning, the activity was 100 curie. After 10 days, the activity become 50 curie. Now, what is the physical half-life? You understood my question? What is the half-life here? 50. What is half-life? It is the time required to reduce its initial activity to one half. What is half-life? Time required. Now tell me what is the half-life? The initial activity was 100. Yes. Now it is 50 curie after 10 days. So how much time it took for the activity to become 50 curie? That is your, yes. Now you understood. Now it is clear to you? Okay, so another thing is this half-life is unique for a radionuclide. For each radionuclide, it has got a separate half-life. Now there is a relationship between the decay constant lambda p and the half-life. So what is this relationship? Lambda p, that is your decay constant. Okay, physical decay constant is equal to 0.693 divided by T half. Or you can say half life is equal to T half is equal to, or you can say T half is equal to 0.693 divided by lambda p divided by lambda p. Okay, I will draw the picture of lambda here. Okay, and this lambda is your decay constant. Is it clear? This is clear. What is the relationship between the decay constant and half-life? Physical decay constant is equal to 0.693 divided by T half, or T half is equal to 0.693 divided by lambda p. This is clear? Okay. This physical half-life is independent of any physicochemical condition. Okay, this physical half-life, it doesn't depend upon any physicochemical condition, like physicochemical conditions like your pressure, temperature, light, whatever. It doesn't depend upon that. It will not change if you increase the temperature, or if you increase the pressure, or if you increase the pH or decrease the pH. The half-life is going to remain same. Clear? This is clear? Next is your biological half-life. What is biological half-life? Have you studied about plasma half-life? Have you studied about plasma half-life? What is plasma half-life? Please tell me. Please someone type here or tell me what is plasma half-life or plasma half-life or half-life, biological half-life. It's same as that of your plasma half-life. So what is that? Do you know or you don't know? If you know, please tell me. Yes, yes, correct. Okay. So it is the time where the drug, half of the, yes, to diminish by 50%. That means what happens when you are taking 100 gram of drug into your body, okay, 50 gram of the drug is going out of our body. How, that time period is known as your biological half-life. Suppose you have taken 70 mg of drug, okay. After 7 hours, the amount of drug in the body is in the body is 35 mg. What is the biological half-life here? You have taken 70 mg of drug, okay. After 7 hours, the amount of drug is 35. 35 means it is half of 70 mg, right? So how much time it has taken? 7 hours. So the half-life is 7 hours. Yes, correct. Understood? So your effective half-life, it is combination of both physical half-life and biological half-life. Okay, your effective half-life is combination of both physical as well as biological half-life. So here you see, what is biological half-life? It is time needed for half of the radiopharmaceutical to disappear from the biological system. Biological system is from our body, and therefore is related to a decay constant. This is here also we are biological decay constant or elimination lambda b, and same 0.693 by TB. TB is your biological half-life. So biological half-life is equal to, what will be your biological half-life? Biological half-life will be TB will be equal to 0.693 divided by lambda b divided by lambda b. Is it clear? Biological half-life TB is equal to 0.693 divided by lambda b. Clear? This point is clear? Okay. So the loss of radiopharmaceutical, okay, the loss of radiopharmaceutical is due to both physical decay of the radionuclide as well as biological elimination. Okay, the loss of radiopharmaceutical is due to both physical decay, also biological elimination or biological, here your biological decay. Okay. So this biological elimination, it takes place through the fecal excretion or urinary excretion or perspiration of the radiopharmaceutical. Clear? This point is clear? So the net effective half-life is denoted by TE. Okay. So the net effective rate of loss of radioactive is then related to both physical decay constant as well as biological decay constant lambda b. So lambda e is equal to the effective decay constant. Lambda e is equal to lambda b plus lambda b, or this is equal to effective 1 by effective half-life TE. TE is your effective half-life. So 1 by effective half-life, this TE is your effective half-life. So 1 divided by effective half-life is equal to 1 divided by physical half-life plus 1 divided by biological half-life. When you will solve this equation, the effective half-life will become Tp multiplied by Tb divided by Tp plus Tb. So you remember this and this. Okay, so your effective decay constant lambda E is equal to physical decay constant plus biological decay constant. So this physical effective decay constant can be written as 1 by Te. Why? Because 0.693 is same for this, this and this. Okay. Now T effective half-life is equal to Tp multiplied with Tb divided by Tp plus Tb. Is this clear? Okay. Next thing is the effective half-life is always, you see, the effective half-life TE is always less than the shorter of TP or TB. Okay? Effective half-life is always less than the shorter of TP or TB. So for very long TP and short TB, the effective half-life will be less than TB, will be equal to TB. Similarly, for a very long TB and short TP, TE is almost equal to TP. Have you understood this point? This point, have you understood? Okay, okay. Okay, 1 minute. Let me explain this. TE. TP. TB. Okay. So your effective half-life, so this is your effective half-life. This effective half-life will be, for example, suppose TP, let's say TP is, let's say TP is equal to 10 hours. And in another condition, TP is equal to 2 hours. Here, TB is equal to, let's say, 1 hour. And in another condition, TP is equal to 7 hours. Okay, so now this is first condition. Okay, let's say this is first, and this is your second condition. Okay, now in first condition, TP is 10 hours, TB is 1 hour. Okay, here TP is 10 hour, TB is 1 hour. So which one is long, which one is short? Here in this first condition, TP is 10 hours, TB is 1 hour. Which one is long, which one is short? TP is long, very good. And which one is short? Yes, TP is long, very good. And which one is short? TB. Okay. So as per the statement, this TE will be, this TE will be equal or almost equal or maybe less than TB here, that is 1 hour. Okay. Now in second case, which one is long, which one is short? In second case, which one is long? In second case, in second, TB is long, very good. TB is long and TP is short, right? So the TE will be either equal or less than TP, will be equal or less than TP, that is your 2 hours. So you understood my point now? The TE will be always equal to the shortest one. If TB is short, it will be equal to TE. For example, here TB is short, right? In this case, in second case, TP is short. So here it will be TE will be equal to or less than TP, or in this case TB is short. So it will be either equal or less than TP. Now it is clear? It's clear to all of you? Okay. Suppose I am giving you another condition. You just answer me, okay? Suppose now TP is equal to 12 hours and TB is equal to 1 hour. 1 hour. Then what will be the TE? What will be the TE? Yeah, TB will be, yes, TE will be equal to or less than TB. Now it is clear? In this case, TE will be equal or it will be less than TB. Understood this? Now I think it is clear for all of you. Is it clear for all of you? Yeah, okay, very good, very good. Here you see, the effective half-life TE is always less than the shorter of TB, whichever is short, it will be less than that. So T is almost equal to TB. Similarly, for a very long TP and short TP, it is almost equal to TP. Clear? This point is clear to all of you now? So the radiopharmaceutical should have a relatively short and effective half-life, okay, which should not be longer than the time necessary to complete the study in question. Suppose I am going to take an X-ray after giving a radiopharmaceutical. So suppose the taking of X-ray takes 1 hour. Okay, suppose for taking the X-ray I need 1 hour. Okay, so what should be its effective half-life? 1 hour to take the X-ray, let's say. Okay, then what should be its effective half-life? What effective half-life will be good for this? I need, you just try to understand, I need 1 hour to take the X-ray. Okay, so now let's say I am giving you 4 choices. You will tell me which one is good effect half-life for this type of radiopharmaceutical. Okay, one is, let's say, 10 hours. Another one is, let's say, 8 hours. Another one is, let's say, 2 hours. 2 hours. And another one is there, let's say it is 1 hour. So which one you think is the best half-life for this? Which one should be the best effective half-life? Okay, 1 hour. You are telling 1 hour. Okay, 1 hour is good, but you think you need some extra time, right? Little more than 1 hour. because you will take 1 hour to take X-ray. Fine, good. But sometimes you may delay, some process maybe. So you should have another 30 minutes or another 1 hour in your hand, right? So if the effective half-life is 2 hours, it is best. Got my point? You understood? Okay, so if it is little more than the time which is required to complete the procedure, then it is the good half-life. If it is more than that, if it is remaining for 8 hours in our body or 10 hours in our body, it will cause harm to the patient. So after 2 hours or 1 hour 30 minutes, it should get eliminated out of our body. Clear? This point is clear to all of you? Okay. Okay. The time to start the imaging of the tracer varies with different studies depending upon the in vivo pharmacokinetics of the tracer, right? So when you will start the imaging, when you will start taking the images of the tracer, it depends upon the study and in vivo pharmacokinetics of the tracer. Okay. The faster accumulation of the tracer, the sooner imaging will start. You understood this point? You have understood? Suppose you want to take the image of the liver. You want to take the image of the liver. Then, when you will start taking the image after giving the radiopharmaceutical, when you will start taking the image, when the stressor will go and it will accumulate in the liver, then only you will start taking the images. So how much time the tracer will take to reach the liver and accumulate, it depends upon the in vivo pharmacokinetics of the tracer. Is it clear? This point is clear. Have you understood this point? No. Okay, no problem, no problem. Let me explain one more time. You are going to take the image of liver. You are going to take the image of liver. So okay, 1 minute. Okay. So you want to take the image of the liver, after administration of the radionuclide. Okay, so what is your object or what is you are planning to do? You are planning to take the image of the liver, okay, after giving radionuclide. Why? This radionuclide, if it will go to the liver, it will radiate, it will emit gamma rays, so that you can take the picture of the liver. Now this point is clear. What I told you now, it is clear to you. Up to this, is it clear? You want to take the image of the liver. So for taking the image of the liver, what you are planning, you are giving a radionuclide. That radionuclide will go to the liver, it will get accumulated here, and after that it will give some radiation. Suppose it is emitting gamma rays, this radionuclide is emitting gamma rays. Then by using a gamma camera, you are going to take the image of the liver. Okay. So when you will, after administration, suppose now you have administered at 7 p.m. Let's say the time of giving the injection is 7 p.m. This is your time of injection. Time of injection is 7 p.m. Now it from the injection, after giving it, suppose you are giving it into the artery. Okay. So from the artery, it will reach to the liver. So from the artery to reach the liver, it is, let's say it is taking 1 hour. Let's say it is taking 1 hour. So when you gave the injection, 7. When it is reaching the liver, after 1 hour. So when you will take the image, when you will start taking the image, after 2 hours. That means suppose you have given, after you have given at 7 p.m. After you have given at 7 p.m. It is reaching after 1 hour. That means it is reaching at 8 p.m. So the best time to take the image is between 8 to 9 p.m. You can take the image, right? So when you will take the image, it depends upon the in vivo pharmacokinetics, means how it is observed, either it is metabolized, either it is going, how much is going to the liver, where it is distributed. All this in vivo pharmacokinetic will decide how much time, at what time you should take the image. Understood my point now? Now it is clear? All of you, it is clear now? Okay, so here you see. Okay, good. So here, that is the point. The point here is, yes, here you see the point. The time to start the imaging of the tracer varies with different studies depending upon the in vivo pharmacokinetic of the tracer. Okay? The faster the accumulation of the tracer, the sooner you will take the image. Now you understood this point? Now this point is clear to you? Okay, so next class we'll start with particle emission. You have any questions? Okay, so we'll meet again after for the laboratory, okay, for the practical class. Exam is on 13th. I have announced it. Oh, you are asking about the practical or theory?